Hello everyone, my name is Stonesy Boy and welcome back to Reading with Stonesy. Today we are reading chapters 28 to 32 or pages 158 to 181. Now, if you are not as good as math as I, you will now know that it is actually, how many? 20, 23 pages and 4 chapters. I apologize, I just woke up. Yeah, I just woke up and I was like, oh, I can do a reading video before I do one of my daily streams. So yeah, we're doing this. Last time, if you don't remember, we learned about the I sound like the president. Hold on. Last time we learned about Bobby and Ben's little adventure and how they now have to meet the pig step Peggy, but she also has a secret little thing, like her deep dark secret, which we're gonna learn about today, or I guess later on, but yeah, we're gonna learn about it today. So without further ado, let's tired Stonesies lie. Let's begin. Chapter 28. Bobby had heard stories about the Nether. Back in the plain time, when adventurers would pass through between quests, they liked to talk and they loved to brag. The places they'd been, the monsters they'd vanquished, the dangers they had overcome. Many of the greatest of those dangers called the Nether home. Live in columns of flame, smoke-jumping lumps of sentient magma, and massive monstrosities the adventurers described as floating baby heads, but with tendrils. And beyond all that, the landscape itself is said to be dreadful, as cascading rivers of lava, resource-starved deserts, and oppressive ceiling of rock devoid of sun, moon, or stars. Bobby was surprised, therefore, to find lush grass at her feet. She took a few faltering steps to the portal. The grass was a strange hue of blue, and there was trees that grew all around the portal. Only they weren't trees, Bobby realized, but enormous fungi. Mushrooms. It was nothing out of the storybook. Great vines reaching to the sky, although there was lava. It wasn't as fierce as she'd imagined. Glowing orange against the dark sky, the distant lava falls took her breath away. Not what you were expecting, Peg said at her back. I'd always heard an infernal nightmare, a plain of ravenous fire and death. That's a direct quote. It is those things, said Peg, but it's other things too. There are forests here, if strange ones, and entire civilizations unlike any of you've ever seen before. Here's an important lesson. Life finds a way to thrive in even the most unforgiving biome. Bobby liked that. She liked this. Learning from Peg felt altogether different from Ben's lessons. Nice meeting Ben. Bobby had been in a constant struggle to survive and keep her brother safe. Here, with Peg, everything felt strangely calm, as if the woman had seen it all and gained the quiet self-assurance. Her confidence radiated from her very being. It was contagious. Peg seemed to read something in Bobby's face, and she nodded with approval. It's always good to meet a young person who has open words of wisdom. Your parents must be exceptional people. Bobby nodded somberly. They are. They're currently zombies, but I'm working on that. Peg looked confused, with Bobby's supposedly natural enough reaction. I never heard of adventures becoming zombies, she said. I've heard of adventures getting eaten by zombies, of course, but not transforming. Oh, Bobby said. My parents aren't adventurers. They're actually villagers. Peg's confusion deepened. I'm adopted, Bobby explained. How curious, said Peg. My parents are a part of a horde that's marching this way, said Bobby. That's sort of the real reason we're here. Not just to warn you, but to ask you not to hurt the zombies. My best you can withstand the zombie siege, dear. You didn't need to worry about old Peg. I'm content to sit by the cozy fire, ignore the zombies entirely. The Logan nuisance will give up eventually, I'm sure. That maybe could work, Bobby said. And before she knew about it, the thought about it, the more hopeful she became. If Peg could hold off the horde, then buy Bobby some time to accept the cure she needed. I wouldn't recommend daydreaming, dear. The forest is teeming with Endermen. You wouldn't want to lock eyes with one by accident. Bobby cast her eyes on the ground, as Peg's gold-gleam paint-bladed feet moved at a brisk pace. She hurried to keep up. The Nether might have been more beautiful than she expected, but that didn't mean Bobby wanted to be alone there. After a short hike, Peg stopped at the edge of a cliff. She motioned for Bobby to join her. As Bobby stepped forward, the fungal trees departed, allowing her an unobstructed view of the landscape. She saw a great lake of lava and an eerie gray desert. Dark figures moved across the monotone surface. In the distance, massive jellyfish-like creatures drifted aimlessly against the black sky, tendrils trailing below them. And dead ahead, there was a crumbling fortress made of black stone. Bobby couldn't shake the feeling she'd seen the structure before, and recently. Is that your fortress? Peg nodded. Good eye. I modeled my home after this place. It's what's left of a bastion. It's old and crumbling, but you can imagine how magnificent it would be to have it new. Still magnificent, really, but my own version is built of sturdier stuff. Peg began to descend, following a narrow path that wound its way down the sheer cliff face. Bobby couldn't tell whether the trail was natural or Peg had carved these steps with her pickaxe, but either way, the retired adventurer already knew the path well. She was certain of her footing in the mountain goat. whereas Bobby took great care of each step. Come on now, said Peg. Pick up the pace. We'll skirt the edge of the Soul Sand Valley and make our way to the Bastion Remnant. I'm eager to introduce you to my friends. Bobby's surprised about it. You have friends here in the Nether? I most certainly do, answered Peg, and they'll be your friends too, so long as you keep that gold helmet of yours on. It was fine with Bobby. She certainly didn't want less armor. But now she followed Pigstep Peggy into the crumbling remains of the once great fortress. Chapter 29. Peg walked in empty corridors in quiet confidence. Bobby tried to mimic her boldness, but she felt an icy thread on her stomach. The Bastion felt haunted somehow. She could sense its history. She was sure it was history of violence and sorrow. Peg seemed to come alive, though. Gone was the old woman who tottered around the kitchen preparing cake and talking about her old joints in her place of adventure. One was walking with a spring in her step. She came to the top of the open courtyard. Quiet, isn't it? Did someone used to live here? Bobby asked. What happened to them? Oh, did you think this place was deserted? Far from it, they said. They've had us surrounded since we crossed the bridge. What? Said Bobby. Who is they? Forget how shy they are around you people here. Peg slipped. Bobby, a gold ingot. Hold that out and make pig noises. Pig noises, said Bobby. Like oink oink? Good enough, said Peg, and she inclined her head towards the edge of the courtyard. Deep shadows ringed the area, and as Bobby looked, she saw movement within them. She and Peg were being watched, and the watchers crept forward now, stepping into the light. Bobby gasped, and the beings were humanoid, but they are features of a pig, with floppy ears, stubby snouts, and small white tusks. Their pink-hued skin glistened in the lava light, and so did their golden swords. Warned Peg, when Bobby took an involuntary step backward. The piglin won't hurt you, so long as you're wearing gold, and if you give them that ingot, they'll know you're a friend. Bobby wasn't sure. The piglins weren't attacking, not yet. But if they're fearsome of their inhuman features, brawny bodies, and in Bobby's experience, most Bobs didn't carry a sword that around unless they were planning to use it. She popped the ingot into the ground, and the nearest piglin darted toward it to retrieve it. As it backed away, it threw something on the ground where the ingot had been. Bobby flinched, expecting an attack, but the piglin only was making a trade, gifting her something in exchange for the ingot. Bobby stepped forward to retrieve the small, luminous green orb. Well, said Peg, that's an ender pearl. It's valuable. Shame they must really like you. Shane there must really like you. Shane? Peg nodded. I'll have names for them. That's Shane and Madison, and the one in the back is Troy. Bobby took another look at the gathered piglins. To her eye, they all looked nearly identical. Have you spent a lot of time with them? And Peg chuckled. You could say that. I lived among these gentle beings for years. I joined their hunting parties, guarded the treasure room from invaders, and even cleaned out the hoglin stables. Even with all my years of adventure, I never would have survived here without their expertise, or their art. Bobby took another look at their surroundings. The Bastion Remnant wasn't just crumbling, it was a Spartan. And with no decoration to speak of, artworks or otherwise. What kind of art do piglins make? The art of movement, said Peg. The art of dance. And with that, the old adventurer raised her arms to the side. She began to move her arms up and down rhythmic motion, and at the same time she repeatedly bobbed her head. To Bobby's amusement, the piglins joined in, performing the same series of movements. There was no mistaking it. They were dancing. Peg laughed joyously, and suddenly the adventurer's nickname became sense to Bobby. This must be pig stepping. Oh, I wish I could stay here forever, said Peg, as she ended her dance and leaned against the crumbling wall beneath heavily. But the Nether isn't meant for human habitation, and it's impossible to sleep here, and the food is scarce. Peg shook her head. I visited frequently, as I said, but eventually she had to turn home, and then one day I wondered if maybe I could bring a little bit of the Nether back home with me. As Bobby watched, Peg extended her gold ingot. Shane, come on, buddy, want a shiny? Peg began walking back to the way they'd come. She kept the gold ingot extended as she walked, and Shane followed the gold, like a cow's follow wheat. Bobby followed too, and in a sort of few more short minutes, they'd make it back to the forest portal. After you, Peg said to Bobby. Bobby took a final look at the strange surroundings, then she stepped through the shimmering violet air. The bluish forest around her seemed to warp and waver, and then, in the blink of an eye, she was back in Peg's castle. She couldn't see how the adventure had taken inspiration from the Bastion Remnant. The structure of the Bastion might have looked like before in the broken remnant. The portal rippled, and Peg stepped through. There was an unmistakable look of dread on her face. What's wrong? Asked Peggy. Did something happen to Shane? Something is about to, said Peg, sending a sober note in her voice. Watch. Bobby did watch. She watched as a happy piglin appeared in the wave of violet light. She then watched the piglin bent over as if in pain. She watched as the body began to shake uncontrollably. She watched as Shane transformed, the vibrant pink skin sloshing off of Shane's face. Piglin was gone, replaced by a monster. A scream rang out at first. Bobby thought it was coming from her own mouth. But then, she recognized the scream. She heard it many times before. Ben, she said. Peg scowled. That's a fool gotten himself into. Bobby took one more look at the undead horror that Piglin had become, and then she ran out of the room and into the dark heart of Peg's castle. Chapter 30. Ben stumbled backward, desperate to put space between himself and the horrors in the cellar, but in this state he felt the door wide open, and now the horrors of the cellar were climbing out. Ben, are you okay? Bobby came rushing into the room as Ben sighed. As she helped him to his feet, he kept his eyes open, pitch dark hallway. Monsters, he said, pointing. He said it, the monster creature stepped over the threshold of the cellar into the central room. It was undead pig-human hybrid, just like the one he chased out of Logan's fortress. It's a zombified piglin, Bobby said flatly. She did not sound nearly panicked enough to in Ben's ear. Zombified piglins, Ben said. Plural. The second creature across the threshold and the third. How many of them are down here? Bobby asked, and she took a step forward in the doorway. Ben held her back and she looked at Peg for guidance. They aren't hostile, Peg said. Sometimes they are, Ben corrected her. I was once locked in a room with one and had to fight to the death. Bobby gave him a funny look. How did that happen? But then the answer dawned on her. Wait, don't tell me Logan. Another one of his lessons? During their time together, Logan had enjoyed putting Ben into difficult situations. He is still terrified of spiders after Logan had left him in the language on the web. Logan, Ben confirmed. He told me I would never be ready for the nether unless I could face monstrous pigs in hand-to-hand combat. He locked me in a room with one of them and tried to kill me. Peg scoffed. And who attacked first? Ben remembered it was like it was yesterday. I mean, I attacked first, but Logan told me it was the key to fighting them, and strike quickly before they could charge. He's a liar, said Peg, and cruel. We know that already, said Bobby. They aren't hostile. How is that possible? Asked Ben. They're so gruesome. That's very judgmental, said Peg, especially coming from a boy who attacked and destroyed a peaceful creature. Ben's heart sank, and Bobby shook loose from his grip, stepping past the piglins that appeared through the door and down the staircase. Ben knew what she would see, and she seated for herself only moments ago. The basement was full of zombified piglins. There were hundreds of them, and apparently there were at least one non-pig zombie as well. Johnny, Bobby cried, get up here right now. Ben peered over Bobby's shoulder. Johnny was trying to reclaim his bone when it had taken by one of the piglins. He growled a wordless complaint. You have to learn to share your things, Johnny, Bobby said. Now get up here, please, and thank you. Johnny growled again, and she did as her sister instructed. There, see? Said Peg. Ben screamed again. He hadn't realized that he had slipped up behind him. That was right in my ear, Bobby complained. I'm a little bit on edge right now, said Ben. Bobby crossed her arms. If you're so freaked out by piglin, then why did you let Johnny go down there? Me, said Ben. Yeah, I had him in your room. Till Beg brought him into your room, said Bobby. No, said Ben. That didn't happen. The truth dawned on Ben like a blast of TNT. His mouth dropped open. Oh, you're kidding me. What? Said Bobby. Isn't it obvious? Said Ben. Pigstep Peggy here kidnapped him and threw him in the dungeon. Ben turned his iciest glare into the woman. That can't be true, said Bobby. Oh, kidnap is such a strong word, said Peg. And so is dungeon. I merely set up a play date between your pet zombie and mine. He isn't a pet, Bobby said. Peg, you know this. He's my brother. And why do you have so many zombie piglins and you're not a dungeon? Asked Ben. She's bringing them over to the nether, Bobby answered. She wants to bring piglins here. And then they cross to the portal. They transform, confirmed Peg. They become zombies as soon as they enter the overworld. Bobby shuddered. I saw it happen with my own eyes. It was horrible. I can't believe it, said Ben. I mean, if these guys are the end result of a pretty process, it can't be a pretty process. A nearby piglin snorted wetly, and Ben shuddered too. I've tried everything, Ben said. I've outfitted them with different kinds of armor. I've doused them in splash potions. I even made one invisible before bringing it through. She shook her head. Nothing has worked. They go through in transformation every single time I bring one through the portal. Then maybe stop doing that, Ben suggested. Your Peg gets so lonely, said the adventurer. The company of the fellow humans always been an awkward fit, and the big people of the nether, they don't judge me. They don't find me strange. As long as I wear gold and join them in a dance from time to time, they accept me as their own. The Peg rounded up the stray piglin zombies and forcefully herded them back in the cellar. Bobby told her, careful, don't be so rough with them. Peg smiled. This is exactly why I need your help, she said, whirling at Bobby. Where other people see monsters, you see people. You trained your brother, and somehow humanity buried deep inside him. I have to believe you could do the same thing for my poor piglins. Yeah, you said bones would help, right? I have bones. Peg opened a nearby chest, revealing several neat stacks of bones. They weren't even creepy. Pitch black skulls mixed in among the white. Yikes, Ben said. Where did you... No, never mind. I don't want to know. I'm not sure about any of this, said Bobby. I trained my brother not to bite me, but zombie piglins don't seem hostile. They aren't hostile, but they aren't intelligent either, said Peg. They're lacking that spark, a rare piggish wit that makes piglin unique all the world. Peg appeared to verge of despair. Oh, won't you try? You must try. Name your price. I'll give you anything you want. Anything? Ben asked, grinning. Bobby shot him a dirty look. Don't tell me you still have emeralds on your mind. We have bigger problems to worry about. Oh, I haven't forgotten, said Peg. But you'd been so worried about Logan, you forgot our top priority is getting your hands on a cure. Bobby's eyes went wide. The cure. The cure, echoed Peg. What cure? The cure for zombification, answered Ben. We found it in the witch's journal, in which we hadn't been able to find the key ingredient. I may have it, Ben said quickly. Or if not, I'll know how to get it. I've been to the end and back. What is it you need? Not so fast, said Ben. We'd cure Johnny first, and then we'd try out the piglins. Deal? Fine, deal, said Peg. Stop stalling. Now tell me, what do we Sound cut through the bastion, long and loud, unexpected. It was coming from the outside. It took Ben a moment to place it. Was that a goat horn? Bobby's face dropped. Oh no, she said. I've heard that horn before. She rushed to the nearest window. The others followed on the pre-dawn light. Ben could make out the shapes moving from the far side of the bridge. Lots of shapes. We're out of time, said Bobby. It's Logan. He's here. Chapter 31. The overworld was still and quiet, and dawn broke over the landscape. So quiet that Logan's voice could be heard from where he stood among his soldiers on the far side of Pep's bridge. Peg step Peggy, he bellowed. Give up. You're outnumbered. For now, Peg said, not bothering to shout. Her words were intended for Bobby and Ben. But he's not going to have much of an army when the sun peeks over the mountain, is he? Normally, you'd be right, said Bobby. Take a closer look. Sun cast a light across the valley, shining upon Logan's forces. Iron helmets glinted in the glare, and not a single zombie burst into flames. Logan outfitted the army well. Well, that boy certainly thinks big, said Pat. He's got things in armor. He must have taken an awful lot of iron. That's what we're trying to tell you, said Bobby. Logan's a serious threat, and he's dead set on taking you down. He's welcome to try, said Peg. I won't abandon my home. She shrugged. And I don't mind if it gets a little messy. Peg slammed the button on the wall, and with no warning whatever, the bridge exploded. Bobby looked away, shooting herself in sudden violence. The bridge had been booby-trapped with TNT, a lot of TNT. In an instant, it was completely obliterated. Vast chasm stood between them and Logan. Even at the distance, Bobby could see that Logan reacted in utter shock. And then cold, cruel anger. Do you think this will stop me? He cried, lifting a fist. All you've done is slow me down. Once more, Peg ignored Logan, directing your response to Bobby and Ben. Let's hope that slowing him down gives us enough time to do what we need to do. The cure. Tell me what it is. Ben is still in shock over the destruction of the bridge. We walked across that thing yesterday, he said. You could have blown us to bits where we were right in the middle of it. That's true, said Peg. Good thing I didn't consider you a threat, isn't it? She forced her focus on Bobby. The cure. Bobby hesitated. Johnny gets the first dose, right? You promise? I promise, dear, said Peg. Now, if you could be so kind to spit it out. We're on a clock. We need a golden apple, said Bobby, and a potion of weakness, brewed with gunpowder, so we need to splash it over him. Peg nodded, then hurried to the kitchen. There's several chests sat against the wall. He began rummaging through them. I've got the gunpowder. I'll have prepare the spider eye, and aha! She had up an object, first shone brightly in the sunlight streaming through the windows. Now Bobby could see what it is. But Ben gasped, and then Bobby's vision adjusted. She could see a golden apple. Bobby reached for it, but Peg stashed it away. I'll hold on to it for now, she said. Now I have to about everything I needed to get started here, but we need to delay this Logan person a bit longer. I have a plan for that, but it will require soul sand and a good amount of it too. Bobby's heart raced. If she was so close to curing her brother, if Peg could provide the material she needed, then she was willing to do anything the woman asked. Peg's quiet confidence made it hard to doubt her, even if she lied about having Johnny and Ben's care. Where do I find soul sand? Asked Bobby. The soul in Sand Valley, answered Peg. We saw it during the outing, remember? Bobby nodded. Then go, said Peg. Hurry, dear. I'll get everything ready there, and I'll keep an eye on your little invader at the same time. Okay, Bobby said, but Peg, one more thing. Peg looked up impatiently at the open chest. Yes, what is it? Don't hurt Logan's zombies. They aren't responsible for the action, then. If the cure works, maybe we could save everyone. Peg smiled. Bobby wasn't sure why, but the smile looked a little sad to her. Save everyone, eh, dear? That's noble of you, but you should focus on one task at a time. If you say so, and I'm bringing a team with me, Bobby grabbed Johnny's lead in one hand and Ben's elbow in the other. Come on, boys, she said. I know the way. You know the way to Soul Sand Valley? Asked Ben. But isn't that in the nether? Bobby nodded, and Ben said, Wait a minute. You went to the nether without me? Yes, keep up, Ben, Bobby said. Then tugging on him, he added, I mean literally, I need you to keep up with me. We've got to get back before Logan makes it his way across the chasm. Chapter 32. I'm not ready for this. Ben stood there in the nether portal with picked up Peggy built in her bedroom, which is weird, and left activated, which seemed reckless. She'd seen portals before. Once he'd been stood in the guard at one while Logan ventured with him. But Logan was insistent the nether was too dangerous for Ben. He had said that if they weren't there together, Ben would get them both killed. Ever since then, Ben had tried to keep best to level up, to hone his skills and prove himself a great adventurer, or at least competent adventurer. He thought it would have been one had more time to prepare. He didn't help, but there's another one of those creepy zombified piglins sniffing around the room. Don't mind him, Bobby said. That's Shane. He's new. Ben sighed. That's awfully eventful night, didn't you? I did, said Bobby. Here, I'll show you. He stepped forward, placing one booted foot on the edge of the portal, and she held up a hand for Ben. Are you ready for this, Ben? It'll be fine. Just follow my lead. Ben knew it wasn't make him feel better, but he would remember a time not long ago when she always followed his lead. Did Bobby even need him anymore? After all, she let him behind again, and despite their promise not to go on an adventure with Pickstep Peggy, who was feeling less like kindly and a gracious host, more like a treacherous captor in each passing hour. Ben steeled himself, then followed Bobby and Johnny through the portal. He half expected it was under attack in the moment they emerged, but they were in the forest, and all was quiet and still. See, it's not so bad, said Bobby. Johnny growled, and she laughed. Don't I take you to the coolest places? Look at the trees. They're not even trees, really. They're mushrooms. Ben grinned. Wild, he said, and he felt nervous fading. He took a good look all around. He accidentally locked eyes with an Enderman. "Oh, slime balls," he said. The Enderman made a horrid wailing noise and then disappeared. "Slime balls," Ben said. "Run." He'd made only a few steps before Enderman reappeared beside him. He glared at him, furious eyes, lifted out unnaturally long arms and slammed into him. Ben went flying to the edge of the cliff and didn't have a chance to scream before he landed hard on what appeared to be sand. Ben looked more closely. The sand had faces in it, and the swirling grains made a perfect picture of a tortured, agonized face. "Now," Ben screamed. "Oh, good." "Now," Bobby cried from above. "You found the Soul Sand Valley." "Where's the Enderman?" Ben cried. His sword, as he drew his sword, looked all around. "Thanks to the mob's teleportation ability, you easily followed him down here." "I took care of it," Bobby said. "Look, I got another Ender Pearl." He held a luminous green gem. Ben knew Ender Pearls were very sought after by adventurers. He felt a stab of jealousy, and then he felt a stab in anger. "Youch!" he cried. He wheeled around a clutch of skeletons leading away. Each had a bow raised, and one more arrow struck him before he was able to pull out his shield. A tactical retreat, which was in order, but Ben could hardly move. The soul sand was slowing him down. He was walking through the cobwebs. Ben rushed a panic and memory of being helpless in Logan's cobweb trap. He had to get out of here. And then, all of a sudden, Bobby was running past him, shield in one hand and sword in the other. Soul sand didn't seem much to slow her down at all. This used the very combat technique she had taught her, and with the new sword was netherite. He made it look effortless. The skeletons were vanquished in no time. "Mars," complained Johnny. Ben turned to see what zombie boy attempted to join the fight, but he was struggling to make across the way of the soul sand. Ben had heard the misery loved company, but he didn't like the idea he was useless in combat encounter as a baby zombie. Bobby tossed him an apple. "Here, are you hurt? I've got a lot of apples." "How are you moving so fast?" She shrugged. "It's these boots Peg gave me earlier. They're enchanted. They must have realized I may need them here." "And the sword?" Peg asked. "You actually gave you a netherite sword?" "Is that good?" Bobby asked. Ben screamed again, this time entirely different reason. "Hey, keep it down," Bobby warned. "There are all sorts of weird mobs in this place," and, as if to prove her point, a great ominous squeal sounded from a nearby bastion remnant. What was that?" asked Ben. "That's just piglins," said Bobby. She began digging up a soul sand and placing an inventory. "Look, they came out to say hi. Don't worry, they're not hostile." Ben turned to see a whole crowd of piglins descending from the bastion remnant. Their eyes locked on Ben, and their golden swords were raised in a threatening manner. "They do seem sort of hostile, though," she said, "in some good ways, at least. Soul slowed the piglins as much as slowed Ben, but it hardly balanced the fact that the entire gang of hostile pig people was coming after them." "Huh? They seem to have it in for you in particular," said Bobby. "Yeah, I noticed it, Ben. I'm not super popular in the nether, am I?" "I think you should run, maybe," said Bobby. "I can't run," Ben said, and she lifted one leaden foot after another. "Oh, for goodness sake," said Bobby. She released a series of stone blocks, creating an instant walkway. As soon as Ben clambered onto it, he darted through the direction of the portal. Along the way, he took a carved pumpkin from the inventory. "Growl," said Johnny at the side of it. "Don't worry," said Ben. "It's not for you, it's for me. Those Endermen mean business." And if he didn't know better, Ben would have thought he heard a zombie boy laugh at Ben. Mid-stride, plopped a pumpkin onto his own head. And that is the end of that. Next time is going to be the final episode, which is going to be a little sad. But, yeah. That is the end of today's reading segment. But in any case, again, I apologize, I am tired. Today we read pages 158 to 181, or in total 23 pages, and chapters 28 to 32. As such, we will next time finish this book off, which is a little saddening, by reading pages 182 to 199, and if I'm not mistaken, there's only 199 pages. And honestly, Nick Lupius, I think that's the name of the author of this book. You could have written one more page, like, come on. Oh, I'm sorry, there's not 100, oh wait, no, there is 199 pages. There's just 2 pages for epilogue. I forgot about that. We might read the epilogue, we might not. That's totally up to tomorrow, or whatever time I read this. But yeah, today we read those chapters. Tomorrow, next time, we'll be reading pages 182 to 199, and chapters 33 to 36. But yeah, hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful, wait, I'm kidding. Of course, we can't forget about Stonseys Reading Corner. So today, our dog breed of the day, or the thing we're learning about in Stonseys Reading Corner, is the German Shorthaired Pointer. Look at him. Look at him! Last time we learned about the normal pointer, and we did actually have a little talk about the different types of breeds of pointers. So I think this one and the next few ones are going to be about the different breeds of pointers. So this episode, next episode, this episode and the next episode are going to talk about two specific breeds, both German. And yeah, so let's today teach you about the German Shorthaired Pointer. As a German myself, I like this dog. Look at him. He's so silly. He's like, doesn't know where he is. Funny doggy. He looks like a cow, but he's not a cow. He's great. But, of course, I can't make fun of something without knowing its history. Now, the history of the German Short-Haired Pointer, say that 10 times fast. The German Short-Haired Pointer is one of the most versatile of hunting breeds, combining pointing, retrieving, trailing, and even game-killing abilities. This versatility arose through the purposeful blending of various breeds beginning as early as the 17th century. Crosses a Spanish Pointer, a heavy type of pointer, with a Hanover Hound, a strain of scent hounds, released in a heavy hound-like dog, which could both trail and point as interested in both birds and mammals. When trailing, these dogs would bay if needed. They would be dispatched wounded game and even fox, although the early breeders agreed upon the goal of a purpose hunting dog. Not all agreed upon how to achieve it. Crosses with the English Pointer were controversial, but bestowed upon the breed a more stylish look and nose-up hunting mode. It also imparted a dislike of water and an aversion of attacking quarry. Further breeding eliminated these unwanted pointer characteristics in the early 1800s. Two Dutch Korshaus, as breeders originally known, Nero and Turf, distinguished themselves against other pointing breeds in the German Derby, and the success of their descendants were often credited with modern short-haired foundation. The breed was recognized in the late 1800s in Germany, with the first short-haired coming to America in the 1920s. The German short-haired pointer gained AKC recognition in the 1930s. The breed soon gained a reputation as the ideal dog for a hunter who wanted only one dog and that could do it all. Besides being gifted with a versatile hunter and a handsome dog and obedient companion, these attributes helped the German Short-Haired Pointer become popular today. Oh, so he's another hunter like the nice little pointer from where was it? Ireland, I believe. England with the British Army. But this one is a little bit better, but also kind of worse. He's a better pointer dog, but he's horrible at swimming. So that seems about right. Now, of course, let's say you read that history and now you want to own this little doggy. First, you're going to want to know the temperament. Now, the temperament of the German Short-Haired Pointer is that the idea of heaven is a day hunting in the field and an evening curled up by its owner's side for these dogs. This is an active dog that becomes frustrated and creative if not given ample daily exercise, both mental and physical. It is a devoted family pet, although at times it is overly boisterous for small children. Because this is a part of its heritage includes hunting mammals, some of the aggressive and small pets unless raised with them. It's a sensitive breed, responds to general training, some can whine or bark a lot. So, these might be fantastic hunting dogs and might be good if you live in the woods alone and, have a rocking chair that you're going to probably lie on. But, aside from that, it's not great with pet kids, it's not great with little dogs. It's just a good one-for-one hunting dog. You know what I mean? Although it needs a lot of exercise, so pick your poison. The upkeep of these little German short-haired pointers, or these silly little dogs, is that they're bred to be an active hunting companion. This breed has a good deal of energy and requires a good deal of exercise. It thrives on mental and physical stimulation and get both by hunting, hiking, or playing with his owner a long period, at least an hour every day. They like water and they'll swim if given the chance. Although physically able to live outside of the mild weather, it's a companionable breed that does best when allowed to live in the house with access to a yard. Its grooming needs are minimal, consisting of only occasional brush to remove dead hair. So yeah, like I said, easy to take care of, just not great with other people, I guess. So I mean, if you and your wife get this dog, you guys will be fine, but watch out, because they're bred hunters. So yeah, that's the upkeep for these little guys. And of course, you got to go to their health, which the major concerns is lymphedema. The minor concerns are CHD, entroping, gastric torsion, VWD, panis, OCD, hypothyroidism. That seems like a common thing for all these dogs is hypothyroidism. They're occasionally seen with atropine, PRA, and cardiomyopathy. I'm sorry. And suggested tests are hip, eye, VWD, cardiac, thyroid. So yeah, any dog that has a lot of runs, do a lot of running, should probably be checked for cardiac, thyroid, or hip and eye. And their lifespan is up to 12 to 14 years, which is more than the average. Their form and function is the Shorthaired is an all-purpose closed working gun dog and combines agility, power, and endurance. It's square and slightly longer than tall. Although it has a short back and it would stand over plenty ground, it would be clean-cut head, gracefully outlined, strong quarters, and athletic physique. It gaited smooth, light, and ground covering. The coat is short and tough. Now, if we go to the little table here, its energy level is at a 5. Hot dang. Its exercise requirement is also at a 5. Hot dang. Playfulness is at a 4. Affection level at a 4. Friendliness towards dogs is at a 3. Friendliness towards other pets is a 2. Friendliness towards strangers is a 3. Ease of training is a 3. Watchdog capability is a 5. Hot dang. Protection ability is a 3. Grooming requirements is a 1. Cold tolerance and heat tolerance is a 3. So this is an all-around good dog if you don't have any kids. But yeah, that ends it for today. So I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Be polite, be efficient, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!